Hello, hello, and welcome, beautiful badass, to the Magic is in You podcast, the podcast designed for you to empower you as a badass woman entrepreneur, growth seeking goddess, to empower you to truly own your magic, your badassery, shine your light authentically, step into truly loving yourself, knowing yourself, trusting yourself so that you can grow, create, and live a life that lights you the fuck up from the inside out, from your business to your family to your relationship with yourself. I am so grateful you are here today. Thank you so much for joining and being here. And if this is your first time of listening to The Magic is in You, thank you so fucking much. I appreciate you so much for being here. And if this is your 14th episode, welcome to the 14th episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please shoot me a DM. Let me know that you are listening, tuning in. Share it on Instagram stories or Facebook stories and tag me. I am truly so grateful that you are here listening, empowering yourself to really, truly live this one big, beautiful life that you have been gifted here right now. My name is Kelsey Holmes, and I am the women's empowerment life and mindset coach behind The Magic is in You. And in Elevate You, my coaching business, I empower badass women entrepreneurs to truly own their badassery, their magic, step in, shine their light. And I'm so excited because I've got a doozy of a podcast for you today. Today, we are going to be talking about allowing ourselves to bravely jump into the river of flow, abundance, impact, of taking the scary action and allowing ourselves to grow ourselves, to know ourselves outside our comfort zone. We are going to be getting into some nitty gritty on getting outside of our comfort zone so that we can take brave, aligned, but sometimes scary fucking action towards actually creating what we want. Before we dive into today's podcast about taking brave and aligned action towards cultivating and creating and intentionally living and on purpose living the life that you truly desire, before we jump into that today, I just want you to know there's a couple of fun opportunities coming up to work together. I am going to be hosting another in-person workshop at Inspiration Cabin, our beautiful once upon a time two-car garage that over the last few years, Nate, my husband, my folks, and I have been turning into this epic, beautiful Montana escape retreat Inspiration Cabin. It is also a showroom for our metal artwork. Anyway, that workshop is going to be at the end of December. If you are interested, please let me know. Drop me a DM and I can shoot you over the information. I know there were a couple of people last month who missed the first one, so I wanted to talk about it, share about it, because this is part of taking brave, aligned, scary action to cultivate the impact that you truly desire in your life. You get to fucking share about the things that you're doing. And after I had a couple of people come up to me and be like, I didn't hear about it. I thought I was on your list. That makes me want to share about it so that everybody can know what's coming up. Along with that, there is another online workshop coming up. So you can click the link below to stay informed about those workshops. And if you are interested at all in one-on-one work with me, currently I have a holiday special for my one-on-one Elevate You transformational VIP coaching experience, where I design a 12-week program specifically to elevate your needs, specifically designed for your needs in mind, working through mindset, intentional thought work, as well as uncovering subconscious limiting beliefs so that we can reprogram, rewire your subconscious mind to cultivate the confidence, the self-love, the self-growth within yourself so that you can take the brave, scary, aligned action and allow yourself to truly grow yourself, know yourself, develop the trust within yourself to really create the impact that you desire to see in your life and in the lives of all of your clients, your family members, and your community members. If you are interested in this transformational Elevate You program, the holiday special, I'm so excited to offer. This is typically a 12-week program. And right now through the end of the year, I am offering an additional 4 weeks of coaching calls for free. It is my gift to you. I am excited for you to start the new year with a bang and allow you to really make 2025, like the beginning of this year, cultivate the soil that you need, the nutrients that you need to be planting the seeds to truly elevate yourself from the inside out, expanding everything in your life, just like I've been doing for the last number of years in my life. So let's dive into today's podcast. I just wanted to share that stuff because I get to recognize also that taking brave, scary, aligned action means I get to share more about how we can work together, because it's been an intimidating journey for me for some reason. And I've been doing better, and I've been growing more, and I've actually quadrupled my client loads over the last, or not loads, but my clients that I get to work with over the last few months, which is fucking incredible. And I'm so fucking grateful to get to work with all of these badass, amazing, action taking women entrepreneurs to elevate themselves so that they can elevate everything in their life. So today we are talking about getting outside of the fucking comfort zone, just like starting a podcast. Now on episode number 14, I'm so jazzed. This, however, though, was fucking terrifying for me to start. If you go back on my Instagram, currently it's pinned. This might be changing soon, but currently it is pinned. There is a live from, I believe it's May of 2023. And I had just gotten off a coaching call with my 7-figure coach and my mindset coaching call with her. And in that call, we had been talking about how the magic is truly within inside of us. Right? Basically, what the Magic is in You podcast is designed and developed around is understanding, tuning and tapping and turning on the magic within inside of us so that we can shine our light, so that we can show up authentically, vulnerably, brightly, and beautifully, and create the impact that we truly desire to see in our life and in the world around us. Anyway, so I did this live after this coaching call. And for months at that point, I had been thinking about the Magic is in You podcast. So this is, like I said, May of 2023. Right now, currently it is December of 2024. And the Magic is in You podcast officially birthed on August 20th, 2024. So just to give you a little understanding how long it really took me to get around to do the fucking podcast, or create the podcast, make the movement, and actually take action on implementing and cultivating it. The seeds planted much longer, or much earlier than that. Anyway, so there's this live on my Instagram, currently pinned, and talking about what we had talked about in my coaching call with my coach that day, and how the magic truly is inside of us and within us. And at this point, like I said, for months at this point, I had been wanting to cultivate and create and start a podcast called The Magic is in You, to empower badass women entrepreneurs to truly cultivate self-confidence, self-love, and self-empowerment within themselves so that they can take aligned action towards creating what they really want in their life. Just what we're doing today, here, now. It's so fucking cool to look back 2 years ago almost and recognize that these seeds for this podcast, for you and I connecting right here, right now, whether you're listening to this in December of 2024 or you're listening to this years later in the future, it is so cool to recognize that the seeds that we've planted, whether it was 2 years ago or 10 years ago, if we allow the ideas to be nurtured, the soil to be like fertilized, you add compost to the soil, you add different nutrients to the soil so that the seeds can grow and get all of the nutrients they need to actually flourish in the soil, so that they can grow deep roots within the soil and then be able to actually sprout through the dirt, right? You have to sprout through the dirt. You don't get to get planted on the top of the soil. You actually have to grow your deep roots so that you can wiggle your way to the surface, right? All of the seeds do in your garden. And so it's really fucking fun to recognize how the seeds that you've planted years ago, we get to continue to nurture them. Even if they don't feel like they're growing as fast as we want, there's a lot going on underneath the soil, underneath the dirt. And for so long, I didn't start this podcast because I was working on a list. I was going down my list, and this just wasn't at the top of my list for a little while. But the other side of that was also the fact that I was scared fucking shitless of what people were going to think about me starting a podcast called The Magic is in You. I have been in energetics and body work and empowerment and personal development for 20 years. And still, I find myself nervous about what other people will think about me if I show up as my true, vulnerable, authentic self. In the last 6 months, I have been working tremendously on connecting to myself, to know myself, love myself, trust myself at a deeper level by practicing yoga every single day since July 1st. And I'm on day 170 today, actually, for the rest of the year. That was my goal, was to do that so that I could nurture my soil, so that I could fertilize my soil, so that I could grow my deep roots within me. I actually started recording this podcast just before that. I hadn't launched it or anything like that, but I had started recording this podcast on the summer solstice. And right now we are 4 days out from the winter solstice. And it's amazing how when you nurture your own soil, how much can it actually grow and expand and elevate within yourself. I have always talked about, you can go back as far on my social media, as I was in coaching land, at least. I've always talked about how we are our businesses. Like if we don't feel good in ourselves, if we don't feel good in our relationships, if we don't feel good in our life, in our body, in our being, we cannot show up powerfully in our businesses, in our work, in our relationships, in our life. It all starts from us, within us. And over the last nearly 6 months now of doing yoga every single day, after committing to myself on July 1st, after doing a yoga practice and meditation where I was connecting to my higher self to learn from her, to know her, to understand how I could become the woman that I truly wanted to be. This version of myself now, who is 170 days into fucking holding her commitment to herself. And with that, having also done 7 weekends of art shows and different events for our steel fabrication business, hosted 32 different Airbnb guests, hosted 50 hip camp campers at our micro RV park, worked with dozens of clients on the mat and in my coaching practice. And I am just so grateful, so fucking grateful for this last 6 months. Fucking 14 episodes of The Magic Is in You, something that I've been wanting to do for years. I mean, all of these things I had planted the seeds for many, many, many years ago. And all of these things that I just listed off, I was fucking terrified of actually jumping in, stepping in, and going all in on this, on all of these things. And it all started a while back, almost 3 years ago, or a little over 3 years ago, when I initially challenged myself to a daily yoga practice. This is the first time I had ever in my life committed to like actually challenging myself to a daily practice, where I like fucking told people about it. I actually posted in my stories every single day a time lapse of my yoga practice for that 90 days and like really held myself accountable. And it's the first time I had ever done that in my life. And the fear of failure, the fear of judgment was absolutely what kept me from doing that. For 10 years, I had desired to cultivate a daily yoga practice, but never had the balls to actually go all in on myself, to believe in myself enough to even try. It was too scary to even voice out loud. It was just this thing that I wrote one time in a letter to myself when I was in the backcountry of the Yukon on my NOLS course with the National Outdoor Leadership School, spending 80 days in the backcountry of the Yukon, backpacking, glacier mountaineering, and whitewater canoeing. Anyway, I had written a letter to myself, my little baby 19-year-old self, wrote a letter to myself that my instructor was going to send me 6 months later. And in that letter, I asked myself if I'm practicing yoga every single day. And at this point, I had like only practiced yoga literally in 1 semester of college. And it was I went to school at a community college in Wyoming for outdoor education and leadership. And I decided to take the yoga class because I just was really curious about it. It had always looked intriguing. We didn't have like a yoga studio in my entire valley, actually, when I was growing up. Wasn't really around yoga, but it always looked intriguing. It always looked interesting, what little bit I heard about yoga. And so when I had an opportunity in college, I decided to sign up. And it was this wonderful, 72-year-old woman who taught the class. I was the youngest in the class by probably 40 years. It was a bunch of other retired women, which is so fun because now a lot of my in-person students are retired women who I just adore so much. Anyway, and so that was my first introduction to yoga. We didn't do any flows. I didn't understand what a flow was. We just kind of worked on the basic poses and postures and positions. It was a once a week class, 1 credit class, something that I had just been interested in. And on this NOLS course, I was writing to myself, asking myself if I was doing daily yoga, which, like I said, very little experience with yoga when I wrote this down, but I could just feel, my 19-year-old self could feel how fucking powerful I'm even getting a little choked up. How powerful that was really going to be for me. And could feel the connection. Have you ever had that like in your life? Can you think of a time where you thought something perhaps years ago, perhaps decades ago, of something that you desired to do, that little knowing, that twinge, that intuition that's speaking within inside of you? Have you ever had that? And when you did it, have you done it? I guess. Have you experienced that? And then have you decided to actually maybe listen to the whisper, actually declare that you're going to do the thing, actually like step in and allow yourself to follow your intuition's guide? Have you allowed yourself to do that? Because there's been so many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times in my life that I have not listened to my intuition. And so many of them have bit me in the fucking ass. I'm sure you have had an experience like that. Have you ever had that experience? Think about that. As we are talking about this is allowing us to understand our intuition a little bit better. It's allowing us to listen to our intuition a little bit better when we think about times in the past where we had a knowing, a little intuitive nudge, maybe a voice in your head, maybe just like a sensation in your body. For me, the knowing feels just like this super grounded, stable, full knowing. For example, this property that I'm so grateful to call home, where I get to host in-person workshops, where we get to have a fucking epic steel art and custom furniture showroom and host Airbnb guests and hip camp guests from around the fucking world. This beautiful property manifested at the end of my first 90-day yoga challenge. It was actually day 97 of my 90-day yoga challenge. I had decided to continue after day 90. It was just feeling so good. On day 97, I got a text message out of the blue about an investment opportunity. And it was 2 days later on day 99 that we drove up this long driveway with towering ponderosa pine trees on each side of the driveway, up this little dirt driveway hill, and past the brown house and brown shed into the garage area, parking area. And it was like an early November morning, and it was gray. The clouds were out. It was kind of raining. It was damp. You could just see the mountains through like the cloudy haze. And I got out of the truck and I stepped onto the driveway and walked just up the hill in the back. So walked off the gravel driveway and onto the grass and the pine needles that were on the ground below. And the back had just has towering ponderosa pine trees just all over, probably a couple hundred of huge, well-mature pine trees. And as I was walking back there, I took a deep breath and was maybe 30 steps into this area. I took a deep breath as the raindrops hit my face. And I just like had this deep knowing of like this exhale feeling of, oh, this is home. I just had this knowing in my body. And we went and checked out the whole rest of the property that day and ended up putting an offer in on the property that day for a bit below asking, because this property had been on the market for I think 9 months at this point, and it was coming into winter time, and the owner really didn't want to be in there in the winter time. And we put an offer in contingent on the sale of our first house, Nate and I's first house. We bought a little fixer-upper back in the beginning of 2018, like literally had a fucking toilet in the master bedroom closet along with the garage door and popcorn ceilings. We called it the Skittle house because every room was a different color: pink, blue, yellow, green, all sorts of different colors. We had some wallpaper going on. Anyway, we fixed that little guy up, and within like 48 hours, we were under contract on selling our house for enough to put a down payment on this property and like under contract on this property. Just like bam, bam. On day 101, we went under contract on all of these properties, or like under contract to purchase this property and sell our first house, to like actually be able to create this. But it wasn't just like happened overnight. This is something that Nate and I had been dreaming about for years. We had planted the seeds of cultivating a property one day somewhere in Montana, and we had been dreaming about it, what it would feel like, what it would be like to have our crazy wild shelter mutts be able to roam free on the property, exploring, playing, and expanding on the property, what it would feel like to just like have the room to grow our shop, what it would feel like to be able to host workshops, in-person retreats and workshops like on my own property with a view of the mountains, but feeling cozy in the woods. And we had been dreaming about this for so long and had the energy up. We were finding our alignment. I was finding my alignment with it. Within myself. We were flowing, we were growing, we were expanding, we were pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone constantly between my coaching business and our fabrication business. We were really just like working on expanding ourselves. And when all of the energy and the alignment comes into play, when you have been cultivating that energy from the inside out, things can't help but fall into place. And it was not an easy journey. Of course, even though I felt all of this alignment this whole way through purchasing the property, it was a very challenging journey for all sorts of different reasons, you know, things with the buyer or with the seller, of the property, some different like rent back things. And like, it was a fucking journey to actually get here and actually make it happen. But the whole entire time, even though it was like new challenge after new challenge every single day for like 6 weeks as we were purchasing this property and selling our house, I still knew the entire time that it was gonna go through. It was gonna work. It was gonna happen. We were gonna be able to get to this place here now where I have just hosted my first fucking in-person retreat a couple weeks ago, and we have hosted 30 some guests in our Airbnb and flipped a fucking garage into this beautiful, epic Montana escape and retreat for people to enjoy from around the world. Also for us to display our metal artwork in and host retreats and workshops. Oh my gosh, like, it's just amazing because when we allow ourselves to align with ourselves, with our energy, and we plant the seeds of our desire and then surrender to the magic of the universe of how to make it happen, we can allow ourselves to create our alignment within ourselves. And then when we are taking aligned action, when opportunities arise and you fucking jump on the opportunities, even if they feel terrifying, even if they feel so fucking scary, even if it feels like you're shaking in your boots, right? Allowing yourself to take brave action over and over and over and over again in alignment because you have grown your trust within yourself. You've grown to know yourself. You've grown to love yourself so that you can take aligned, brave action over and over and over again. It's fucking incredible what you create in your life. Especially because when I graduated high school, for example, I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do with my life. The only reason I went to college is because I didn't want to get stuck in what felt like my small hometown, which is funny because now I live in the same area I grew up in. But I didn't want to get stuck here. I didn't believe that anything would be really, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't know what would be possible. I was terrified. I was told for so long that school was not not where I shined. And I just like could not find where I fit in. I didn't know where I was going to fit in. So I just counted myself out for really creating anything in my life. And then in my mid 20s or early 20s, I suppose, I like to call it my early life crisis, where I was working as a barista at a local co-op, which I loved. It was actually a pretty good gig, but you know, I just didn't want to do that forever. I was coaching at figure skating. I was nannying on the side. I was house sitting. I was hustling, right? All sorts of random odd jobs, hustling. And I really decided that I wanted something more tangible, like with what I was doing. I wanted to be able to help people. I wanted to be able to enjoy my work, not just hustle for my weekends kind of thing. And so that's when I allowed myself to follow the little universal winks and followed my curiosity into massage therapy. And from there have expanded into energy work and into somatic work and into hypnosis and coaching and to what my practice is today. But we never know when we do actually take the brave, uncomfortable action outside of our comfort zone, we never truly know where that's going to lead us. As long as though we are listening to our intuition, as long as we are allowing ourselves to grow in the direction of where we want to go overall, the like our life gets to surprise us more than we allow it to, right? If we have these super stringent goals and ideas of what it should be or what it has to be or this or that, if we have those super limited ideas of our goals, sometimes that we actually limit our life of what possibilities are there because we're not looking out for any opportunity that arises, right? Like had I not allowed this opportunity, for example, for the property to come to fruition, like if it was like, oh, that's not in our plan because we were going to wait for 5 years on that before we actually did the investment property, and we weren't going to sell our first house because we wanted to keep that originally and be able to have 2 properties and like grow something like that. If I had had that stringent idea, I wouldn't be here today about to host my second fucking in-person retreat, about to host our second actually and first holiday open house with Creative Combinations Montana, our steel artwork. And we just wouldn't be here today if we had limited ourselves in our growth goals to a specific plan, to a specific outcome that we desired. When we align our energy and allow ourselves to take brave, scary action with the opportunities that arise in our life, it's amazing the magic that actually grows from there. So, what kind of brave, scary action can you take today? What opportunities is life giving you? Remember, every challenge is an opportunity. My coach, Nicole, says this over and over and over, and it's completely ingrained into my head. Every challenge is a motherfucking opportunity, in the words of Nicole Cherie Hess, is a motherfucking opportunity. And in the last few years, I have been working to eliminate the word hard, for example. And instead, I allow myself, instead of saying something is hard, I allow myself to reframe this and say, this is a challenge. This is challenging. And because I am continually doing the mindset work, because I'm getting myself in the rooms with the people to help me elevate my mindset, when I think of something as a challenge, I automatically think of it as an opportunity, because challenges are motherfucking opportunities. Even the scary ones, even the really big ones, they are opportunities for you to grow yourself, to know yourself, to trust yourself even more, to tune and tap in and turn on your intuition, turn into your light and take aligned action from there. So, what challenges, what opportunities can you take today? What opportunities are you going to allow yourself to expand in? Are you going to join the workshop at the end of the month? Are you going to join the next online workshop? Are you going to fucking jump in on one-on-one specific VIP Elevate You coaching experience so that you can elevate your life beyond your wildest dreams in 2025? What opportunities are you going to take today? Are you going to take an opportunity to go outside, breathe deeply, be so fucking grateful that you are alive here, breathing and blinking? You're going to take an opportunity to move your body in a way that feels good for you, that feels fulfilling for you, that feels joyful for you. You're going to take an opportunity to enjoy a cup of tea with the view outside your window. Are you going to take an opportunity to tell a loved one that you fucking love them? What opportunities will you take today? If this was helpful at all, please, please, please share it. Write a review, tag me, send me a message. I would love to hear your feedback. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning into the Magic is in You podcast. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Go take on life. Take on the opportunities that life is gifting you today to grow yourself, to know yourself, to trust yourself, and watch the magic fucking expand. In love, light, and so much gratitude. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.